lot of the first year went by just trying to understand how everything is working. Surrounded by IITs and NIT people or the interns, where the pressure was very high, but so was the stake. I knew I had to grab it because I felt that if I'm focusing on getting a PPO even before delivering any work, then maybe I don't deserve to get that.
Hey everyone, and welcome to IIF Media, your go to space for real world stories and journeys. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Adrika Mondol, who has completed her graduation in 2025. She has cracked a job offer at PwC and also an internship at Amazon, which later turned into a pre placement offer. Get ready to dive into her story, the challenges, the hustle, and the learnings that shaped her way. Let's get started. So, what was your mindset during your first year of college, and how did this approach help you to land or apply for different internships and for different job offers?
Okay. So during my first year, I was kind of in the same boat as everyone else. There was a lot of confusion, lack of clarity. Everyone had these like big goals and dream companies, but we didn't know how to achieve all those. So in the beginning of the first year, I was interested in a lot of fields and I delved in a lot of them. I had some projects in cybersecurity, ML, and in first year I didn't have quite a like I lacked a lot of understanding on those. So a lot of the first year went by just trying to understand how everything is working. And you can say that I started applying for internships and job opportunities right from first year. I mean, I was very naive. So then I got to know that I cannot apply right now. I need to gain a little more knowledge. And in second year, just applying blindly like this, I landed my first remote internship, which was an unpaid experience, but reflecting back, it added a lot of value since I didn't know much at that time. So I worked on two GAN models, and this is how you can say I just tried applying as much as I can, and I didn't see if it's a big company or a small. I kept on trying to get an opportunity till I get a better one.
Okay. So, how did you go about to apply the internship at Amazon? And also, let us know about the steps that you took so that your CV could stand out there.
Okay. So starting with the second question first, building a CV, the right CV is very important. For me, it was a update as you go kind of a method where every time I was getting rejected, I was using that opportunity to make it better. And there are quite some steps like you should not have a very flashy CV. It should be properly, there shouldn't be tables. You should use the proper formats. There shouldn't be many columns and, those big fonts and everything. The most important part is filling it with meaningful projects. My CV had projects from quite some fields and I guess you can say it was very versatile and that's how it stood out. Now coming to how I applied for this Amazon internship. So there is a program called Amazon Wow, which is for women engineers all across the world. And there are lots of programs like this in which I have registered from first year, and Amazon Wow was one of these in which you can network. There are a lot of seminars, webinars, and events in which you can attend, and you can get mentoring from professionals over the world. So in like one day, unexpectedly, I got a mail from this Amazon Wow saying that they have an opening and they want to invite me for their 2 month internship opening. And from there, I applied in their careers, for which I again tailored my resume perfectly. So one thing when we are applying for a job is that we have to make sure that every resume is perfectly tailored to the job description and the skills which are in the job description, the keyword should be present in our CV as well. We cannot use one CV, one common CV for every job we are applying to. That was an important part. And then after applying, there was the OA round, HR round, technical interview round. This is how.
So, this was for landing a job in Amazon. It was a whole lot of process
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had to
it
go from.
was. Yes.
Okay. Uh, Tell me about a time during your internship which you felt like it was very challenging and like you had to use various methods to overcome it. Also, let us know about the methods which you used.
So, challenge every day from the beginning of my internship till the last, every day was a massive challenge. Coming, like, we are a college student, coming from a college student to a very fast paced work environment, and where so much is happening every second, it is very difficult to grasp. And because the timeline of my internship was so short, I couldn't get enough time to understand all their toolkits, the language in which I had to code. Before I had to apply it as soon as I'm learning it.
Of course.
So that's how, I mean, the major problem I faced, you can say, is that I didn't get enough time and I had to adjust very quickly, as every day I had to learn new things and there was no one telling, like, obviously my mentor was there to guide me, but no steps like after this you have to do that, after that you have to do nothing like that. I had to take charge, go to the product managers, QA team, everything, test it, unit testing, integration testing, everything, learning as I, like, every day it was a new learning opportunity to me. That was the biggest, you can say, struggle, adjusting to everything every day and completing my work in the given time.
Well, as you said that you had a very short period of internship, and so you might have felt a lot of pressure, the performance pressure, also the imposter syndrome might have come in. So how did you manage all those amongst your internship in these 2 months only?
So yes, the imposter syndrome is a very real thing. I don't get to talk a lot about it. Surrounded by IITs and NIT people or the interns, where the pressure was very high, but so was the stake. I knew I had to grab it, and the pressure was very high. But I think I took it I took it one day at a time. I journaled. I kept notes of everything I was doing, and in a very systematic way I arranged my tasks, so that of course the pressure would be high, but whenever for example I have to take a help from a coworker, I cannot keep bugging them every single second of every day, but I had questions every single second of every day. So I arranged all the, like, I did my research on everything before ringing someone up, so that they won't think that I'm not putting in that effort to do it myself. So this is how I handled the pressure. I arranged all my tasks, I kept entries, and during my stand-ups, I made sure that I was letting them know that these are the steps I took, and this is what I'm planning to do next about it.
Okay, so as you said in the beginning, from first year, that you had done a lot of projects and lot of stuff. So what are the achievements and projects you included in your CV which caught the attention of Amazon? Can you tell us about that?
Okay. So I applied when I was in third year, right? You can see that when we are in first and second year, we don't have that much content to put into our CV because we are still beginners, right? So the projects which I did an extensive cloud program, the Google Cloud Facilitator program. I think you have heard of it.
Yes.
So that's a very extensive cloud program I did. As I told you, my first remote internship was in the field of ML. So in there, I had done two major projects on GAN. That was one thing. I made a web application using Flask in my first or second year, I think. I was still comparatively new to it. Then I did some front end, back end projects, and also I dabbled a bit in cybersecurity and did a project on that, specifically on steganography. So these are some of the projects I did at that time. And also, since I didn't have much to put into my CV at that time, I included the Coursera certifications I have done, these cloud certificates and all. I tried to make it look very meaningful without adding details which seem insignificant or not relevant to the job I'm applying for.
So you had all these things in your CV when you were applying for Amazon.
Not everything, like the cybersecurity, I think was maybe after it, but yeah, all the other things were before.
Okay, so still that is an achievement in itself only.
Yeah. I mean, the fields were a lot, but I think good projects everyone should have in their CV. And if you have a diverse range, then it will increase your chances because you can apply to a wide range of job roles because if your CV can be versatile enough.
Right, right. Okay, so let's talk about skills. So, what are the core technical and soft skills a person must develop in himself or herself before applying for such product-based companies? Like, you know.
So Of course, we all know that DSA is the most important thing while applying, and we should develop our skills. But while doing DSA, it is important to note that solving 100, 200, 500 questions is not what gets you there. It is about building your logical thinking so that if I give you right now a question, you can take some time and then form a clear logical thinking. Yes, this is how I can do it, and this is one important thing that you should be able to form that kind of a logical thinking. And the second thing I think is that soft skills is very important. Soft skills can be your communication skills, it can be your hand gestures and everything. It's extremely important because let me give you an example. During my interview, the interviewer was not as much invested in my actual code as much as he was in my communication skills. He was very keen on how I'm expressing my thoughts out to the interviewer, because it doesn't even matter if you're very talented, or if you have a lot of skills, if you cannot articulate it well to the interviewer. So that is a very important skill which we should practice very early on in our career.
So while giving an interview, expressing yourselves become the most
Expressing
important.
yourself very clearly.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, a question I'd like to ask you. What are the number of DSA questions you used to practice when you were in second year or before landing the opportunity at Amazon?
So it was not really about the number of questions for me, because DSA was never a task for me to fulfill. It was my passion. I liked coding. Some days I would go on for 10, 12 questions. Some day it will be 1, 2 questions. It would depend on how much I could take on at that particular time. But one thing is that even though I didn't focus on a particular set of number of questions, I did focus on a path. I knew I had to do it in a sequential order, starting from basics like clearing your fundamental concepts is very, very important, and learning how to debug. After that, moving on to the more difficult topics like linked list graphs and all those. So, not the number of questions, but the order in which you are going from simple questions to more complicated ones.
Next questions. Absolutely. Okay, so while you were doing the internship at Amazon, you had a thought that you will get the PPO, or how did you manage all the pressure of getting the PPO while you were doing the internship? Like, how well did it go, or what challenges you faced?
During my internship, if I'm being honest, at the beginning, I was a little obsessed with the PPO that, oh my god, if I can get this, my life, if I don't, I will regret it for the rest of my life, right? So then I changed my perspective, because I felt that if I'm focusing on getting a PPO even before delivering any work, then maybe I don't deserve to get that PPO. So I need to deliver the work, show them why I am worthy of it instead of focusing on it. Because after all, at the end of the day, the PPO was based solely on my performance, my efforts, my leadership principle skills, the way in which I am working with my coworkers and all. So I focused on that. I delivered results. So I made 2 widgets in Amazon Pay during those 2 months, and my work was successfully completed. It was very difficult, but I was very glad that I could do it. And you know what the PPO followed? I just focused on delivering results.
Okay, so as you know, the IT industry is ever growing. So, what's your take on the ever growing IT industry? Like, in today's world, there are new technologies like AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, system design, etc., etc. So, how far or how is the IT industry going to fare in this process,
I
or
think
how
we
far will it?
both know that the industry is heading towards AI driven development,
Of course.
right? AI native development. So that is one place. And as software engineers, we do have the upper hand here, because there are limitless potential of AI, right? And if we can utilize it in the right way, there's limitless jobs and opportunities for us as software
Of
engineers.
course.
That's one thing. The second thing I would say is that cloud fluency is becoming as basic as learning how to code. You should be either practicing GCP, Azure, whatever you're comfortable in, but you should know the cloud fundamentals and basics. Coming to system design, I think we used to think that system design is a topic for senior engineers or managers, but in today's world, we can see that even interns are expected to think at the level of services, microservices, API. So, learning and mastering system design is very important in today's world, at least where the world is heading.
Okay, so in this fast, ever evolving AI driven time of the IT industry, how do you think a student, a normal college student, will fare in this industry and he or she can keep pace with the industry? Like what are the things he or she needs to do?
So, to keep pace, to stay relevant, you have to know what's going on around you. And we follow the trends and everything, but you cannot do everything at once.
Of course,
There will
that's
always be a new technology at the end of the day, right? So, you can stay on top of trends but pursue your passion. And I would say that you should practice git and version control very seriously, because it is something which will help you in the long run, and you should know all the practices of that. You can attend the tech talks, you can read the everyday news, and you should stay on top of the trends and know what's happening around you. But if you try to practice it, everything at once, then you can lose track of your own goal. You have to set your goal, but you can stay on top of trends.
okay. So what mistake do you think a student makes while approaching or while applying for a job position in this product based companies?
I think the most serious mistake a student makes is that we are often told that DSA is the single most important thing. While it is one of the most important things, the other thing we overlook quite a lot is the fundamental subjects which we are taught in college, like operating system, DBMS, networking, and all that. It is very important for us to understand those concepts very well, because in those interviews they are going to be testing that.
Of
And
course.
it's not just a theoretical subject. I mean, the concept should be so clear to you that even if a 5-year-old asks you what's the difference between a switch and a router, you should be able to tell them, explain it to them clearly, and they should understand. So I think this is the biggest mistake that students make, is that they focus solely on DSA, neglecting the other core component subjects.
So, as you are now a working professional in a big company like Amazon, uh, what is that one perception or what perception has changed about the IT industry when you were in the first year of your college and now you are a working professional at Amazon? So, what perception has grown or what things have changed?
I think the thing that has changed the most is that, when we are a college student, we tend to think that coding is 90%. We think of this like this big glamorous corporations as this, but it is a very glamorous corporation. But the thing is that coding is not even half of your daily job requirement. As a software engineer, there are so many things beyond coding. You have to do the proper design, the reviews, you have to documentation is the most important thing. Like when I was an intern and I had to write code, for every line of code I had to document why that change was important. And later I understood it's because when I'm working on someone else's code, I can understand why that change has been made, and it makes it so much easier, and it's a very good practice also. So I think as a software engineer, our role is not just to coding, it's way more than that. It is about thinking about, the customer satisfaction, what requirements are needed, managing it with the product manager, with the QA team. The job goes way more than coding. It is also about designing and implementing it.
Okay. So now, if you look back at your journey from first year of college to landing a job at Amazon, what pieces of advices you would like to give to the emerging tech professionals?
I think I would like to tell them that the most important advice is, don't let anyone tell your worth. In today's world, we are so confused by so many people like me giving advice, and everyone will have a different opinion, right? But you cannot let that change your opinion of yourself. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to take criticism. Take positive criticism and don't take it personally. and you should be able to, whenever someone gives you a piece of feedback, you should be able to understand your shortcomings and work on that without getting offended by it. At the at the same time, don't let anyone tell you your worth. So finding this balance, and the most important advice as a software engineer, as BTech students, is that don't take rejections personally. It's just a part. You have to apply, and you will get rejections. But it takes just one acceptance mail to change all of
Change
that and
all
your
the
perspective.
perceptions. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for giving your time.
Thanks, Nilanjan.
Thanks.